Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Bison Video Blog. Along with Jeff Kolpack, I'm Dom Izzo. The FCS nickel did not make an appearance Saturday at the Fargo Dome. That's the only nickel that can be given out. I'm a little disappointed because I was ready to tout that in front of the Bison
I can't believe you didn't do that, which is, by the way, the nickel in the state of North Dakota now.
North Dakota State defeats North Dakota on Saturday, 34-9. We wait now for 4 years until the two schools will play again in Fargo, September the 7th, 2019. We'll get your thoughts on how the game played out, but I guess now it's passed. We've been talking about it for a while, a year build-up. Now it's in the rearview mirror.
It is in the rearview mirror, and I look at that game and I go, okay, maybe Bubba Schweigert, you could argue that he didn't have his team ready on the offensive and defensive lines because that was a beatdown. There was no other way to put it. That was a beatdown. You could argue, the team game plan here and that. That had nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. This was all about May 2000. The guy that lost that game was Charles Kupchella because he stuck his program
president way back when.
So far behind. I covered the meeting in May 2000, May 19th, 2000. I'll never forget it. Arrowwood Resort in Alexandria, Minnesota. All the presidents were there. It was a council of presidents meeting, and it was closed to the media, so I had to sit outside there for hours and hours and just waiting. So one by one they came out, and Kupchella came out in his mock tee, Harvard look, and said, "No, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
Not going to. It's just not in our best interest." Well, Peggy Miller and the South Dakota State president, they're all. Hank Brown, Northern Colorado, was just firmly going, this league needs to go Division I. The whole league needs to. And they ultimately, the league decided, no, if you want to go on your own, you go on your own. Well, the reason UND is so far behind right now is because the president has nothing to do with Bubba Schweigert. Bubba Schweigert's doing his best. It doesn't have much to do with Chris Mussman.
His players aren't even in yet. Schweigert, for that point.
Yeah.
His players aren't even playing yet.
Yeah, it's just that school president just left his university, and we saw the result on Saturday.
In terms of the advantage that NDSU had in moving in 2003 and then UND waiting to 2007 to make that move, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it really bore fruit in what we saw in the level of athletes that were out there. UND's got some players, but they still have obviously a long way to go.
I thought they were out-athleted.
Yeah.
If that's where they are out-athleted.
They still have some players. Their linebacker core is very impressive, I thought.
Will Ortels, that guy's a low.
I think he'll be a player.
The outside
the next
linebackers.
level.
I'm not saying they don't have players, but I'm saying as a whole, the program, it was a huge difference on Saturday.
Let's talk about how that played out on Saturday because Carson Wentz is now tied or has set the school record for touchdown passes through the first 3 games, 9. He also has 3 rushing touchdowns, so he's accounted already for 12 scores through the first 3 games. That's averaged out, by the way, to 4 a game. My math is okay like that, but he was again impressive. I thought the Bison offensive line since the second half at Montana, which they did not play well, admittedly so, they have been really good the last 2 weeks.
And really, the only downfall of special teams here is we see the long return by Seibel.
We can get into that in a second.
But I thought, the difference in the offensive line and defense, especially the Bison defensive line, to the record, it's amazing you think about it. The least total yards surrendered since 1974.
Yeah, Morningside.
Morningside.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years ago. That's 40 years ago
That's
almost.
before I was born, so let's just say that. But I also want the amount of weapons on this team now. And we saw Darius Shepard, R.J. Urzadowski. That play has worked 3 straight weeks, which I know you're going to do a story on that. But it's overflowing that Carson Wentz has this many options to go to right now.
And R.J. Urzadowski there showing some speed getting behind the secondary. But we thought that was going to happen this year because you saw, one player, Andrew Bonnet hasn't even been heard from.
Well, that's the thing. We haven't even Albers or Bonnet have not really touched the ball yet this season.
So there's obviously other things they can go to. This offense there was that second half hiccup at Montana, but then the quarterback was hurt, as we found out later, worse than probably what he let on, and that was a reason there.
Special teams is something, obviously, that's going to get worked on during this bye week. So let's discuss that because we talked about it a little bit during the postgame show on Saturday. The fact that they had 3 drop punts in the game, fumbles. Cam Peterson seems like he's grabbed the kicking job and he's going to go with it. Now, granted, he's going to kick outdoors for the first time in a couple weeks against South Dakota State. But I go back to what I said Saturday after the game. They've got to find a guy to be the punt returner and say, you know what? You're going to be the guy going forward.
But I don't think you can do just one guy because I think if you put C.J. Smith back there's like 10 punts last week. You put your top corner.
I wouldn't risk C.J. Smith getting hurt. That's my point.
Yeah, you can't put your top corner back there for 10. I mean, that's a lot to ask of him.
So who gets the job then?
I think you got to keep going with Darius Shepard.
I agree. I think
that
he's the guy.
That guy's a playmaker. I think he can stick Perk. I think that was He's been pretty dependable.
I think he was a stopgap. Perkins was, in my estimation. He's okay to do it, but I think Shepard has shown the ability to really bust a play and make something happen there.
You know, these coaches are pretty good at this stuff. I think they can. They have 2 weeks now to figure out how to make sure Darius Shepard does the fundamentals of catching the football.
Let's talk defense here, because obviously that was the biggest concern starting the season, and it continued after how they played at Montana. Where have you seen the real strengths of this team move forward after the Grizz game?
Well, I thought defensively, maybe if they lost a little of their swag, it is now back, just judged by that. So if there was a lack of confidence or some doubt there, and I don't know there was, I just don't know, but I think certainly that's back now. I think this team is ready. I do. I think they're ready for conference play.
Nate Tangway and Brian Schatz are playing at an unbelievable level. That inside on the defensive line has been unbelievable.
They were manhandling. Tangway is just a beast. Yes. I mean, he's a sophomore. He looks like he's 24 years old. I mean, he's just so advanced.
That's a huge get for NDSU to get him. And the way he played last year as a redshirt freshman, we talked about it. Like, he was playing beyond his age, and he's doing it again so as just a sophomore.
It starts to make you forget a little bit about some of those names of the past, you know, the Jureks, the Mike Hardys,
Perry, Ryan Drevlo.
Yep. And those names.
They're still there, but boy, Tangway is up there.
They're starting to play at that level.
No doubt. All right, so conference play does not begin this week. Almost everybody in the Valley is off this week, except for South Dakota State, who plays our old friends from Robert Morris in their final non-conference game, and the Jacks have looked unbelievable. They blitzed Kansas. I know they had to hang on and win, and then they destroyed a Southern Utah team that nearly beat Utah State.
Yeah, Zach Lujan, at the beginning of the season, I got the feeling that he was the guy, but you know what? If you don't perform, we're going to that true freshman Christian.
Yep.
Boy, they're anything but. The way he has performed against especially Southern Utah, they're not that bad. I mean, they're not 55-0 bad.
The offensive line has looked really, really good as well. I'm curious to see how they play this weekend. I think they're going to win and rather comfortably against Robert Morris, but obviously they haven't beaten the Bison since 2009. They know that there was an entire senior class that went, maybe the best class in Jack history, that never beat North Dakota State. It's going to be a night game. That's going to be an amped-up environment. We're in Brookings.
I don't think it was their best class ever. Maybe their best in terms of skill players.
Winning, though, success-wise, it was their best class they ever had.
I mean, boy, those 9-10 teams are pretty good. Those linebackers, I don't know.
Well, Domino was really good. Yep. It was the pick six in 2009, and the last time they beat NDSU. I'm just saying success on the field-wise. They won multiple playoff games and just couldn't get past NDSU.
It's 2 weeks. You're getting right into it, aren't you?
And that's to my point when I asked Chris Kleiman about the FCS division as a whole. We're 3 weeks into this, and I think, in my mind, it's wide open. Coastal Carolina does not look like a world beater to me. They scraped out a win against a Western Illinois team we believe to be pretty good.
I don't think Missouri State can get in there. I don't think South Dakota is going to be able to last the whole season. I don't think it's wide open where everybody is.
I think it's a chance. Maybe 6 teams, though, and Northern Iowa has impressed me.
So now you've gone from 10 to 6. Well, you're starting to why your face is on that is amazing.
But Northern Iowa, has they not impressed you, what they've done? Through that gauntlet, they went 2-1.
Yes, much better than I thought. And their offense, losing David Johnson and their quarterback and a receiver, I thought their offense has been much better than expected.
Now, granted, they've got Illinois State and NDSU both on the road to start conference play, and that's going to really determine how their season goes, in my estimation.
That's their season. It really is.
On the injury front, on a national stage, and this is important for everybody, for Bison fans I know, Brady Gustafson may have broken his leg, the Montana starting quarterback, in the game at Liberty. We'll know more about him later today. And John Robertson, the Walter Payton winner, the quarterback at Villanova, has a torn PCL. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out. Those are 2 premier teams without their best player.
Villanova was pushed by a team, Delaware, that supposedly wasn't that good.
Not very good. That lost to a D2 team.
I'm just not sold that the CAA is that good. I don't think they're at the level they used to be.
What about Montana now with Gustafson out? That changes that whole team, doesn't it?
It sure, absolutely. Yeah. It changes the tempo of that offense because you need, with that hurry up, and we saw it, 90 whatever plays, that you need a guy to run that show.
Also, Eastern Washington got a big win over Montana State, so the Big Sky, for all we know about it, up in the air there.
Did I not say Montana State gave up 33 points a game last year and was a playoff team?
Yep. They did not look good. And that's with Cooper Kupp having an outstanding game and Jordan West, the quarterback at Eastern Washington. Let's talk hoops for a bit before we break. NDSU got a major commitment on Saturday night. It was a big win, big day overall for the Bison, obviously beating North Dakota on Saturday and then getting Shanley standout guard Sarah Jacobson to verbally commit to the Bison women's basketball team, 2-time state champion, two-time All-State player, obviously the daughter of Pat Smykowski, the younger sister of NDSU standout A.J. Jacobson. I know some will consider this a slam dunk, but this was a must for Maren Walseth, Jeff.
It was, yeah, you could say it was a must. What I like about Sarah is just her competitive nature.
Yes.
She's tough. Mm-hmm. And that's sometimes in the last several years, I've looked out at the NDSU women's basketball team and go, okay, where's the toughness? Where's the, they're down by 6, and I just don't feel like there was anybody to say, okay, that's not right.
Yeah.
And we need to do something about it. And maybe Sarah will provide that.
That's a 6-person class now for the class of 2016. Bison only have 10 scholarships they're using. The max is 15, so we knew they had a few to play with. But that's a massive class for basketball.
It is a massive class, but you got to get it going.
Yes.
I mean, you need some players.
Basketball practice begins, by the way, next Saturday. It's unbelievable. Yes, the end of next week is when basketball practice begins for Division I. Bye week coming doesn't mean it's a bye week for us. Of course, full coverage to get you ready in the FCS and leading up to the Bison and the Jacks a week from Saturday. For Jeff Kolpack, I'm Tom Izzo. That's the latest edition of the Bison Video Blog.